Bungie is getting dumpstered. Marathon is complete trash, and worst of all, turns out it's stolen trash. They couldn't even steal something good. And then we have Destiny, or what's left, honestly, of Destiny, which turns out is, well, again, most likely stolen and stolen trash nonetheless. It's honestly amazing. How did Bungie even succeed in the first place is just a mystery at this point to me.
Bungie is a very embarrassing company. That is a great summarization of this video and really just this company the last couple of years. Every dumb scandal that they've run into, it feels like something that could have been easily avoided, but yet here we are. And this video originally was just centered on Destiny 2 and that ridiculous lawsuit that has turned into something so much more, but this video has spiraled into something completely different because of some recent events surrounding Marathon and the fact that Bungie just blatantly stole the entire identity of an artist's artwork and used it for Marathon. It's all
I'm not gonna lie, I don't care. Artist stuff getting stolen. Oh no, the horror, the tragedy. Anyway, moving on.
whole thing we're going to get into, but we're going to start with this. In 2024, towards the latter part of the year, Bungie's CEO is criticized for spending millions on classic cars as call for leadership changes escalate. This is right around the time that hundreds of employees were being fired. The CEO is putting out letters saying like hard times have hit us all, and it's like no, it hasn't. You just spent $2 million on a vintage car, and you're saying all this.
I, it does look bad, and the average person definitely doesn't like it. But the reality of the situation is, okay, not to defend him, but what is he supposed to do? Crawl under a rock and die? No, life moves on, okay? That's just the reality of things. I mean, his company is going under, but what is he supposed to do? Become poor because of it? No, he just continues to live life. It sucks, but and it's unfair and it sucks, but that's just how it is.
To employees that no longer have jobs. And actually, one of them pointed out, you also invited me to come see your new cars 2 days before you laid me off. It was just a very
Based.
embarrassing headline. And that really is a great summarization.
I mean, to be fair, considering how bad the people working at Bungie are and how constantly they have, well, been underwhelming and how, well, honestly, they're just all woke losers at the end of the day. Bungie has more gay romance and new males than I don't have even a comparison. That's how honestly bad and stupid the situation is, okay? I'm not exactly mad that these people are getting laid off. They were just leeches anyway, okay? The fact that they're getting laid off means absolutely nothing. They didn't deserve jobs to begin with, okay? Don't deserve to be a part of society. They're probably currently actively advocating for communism somewhere.
Of Marathon. I actually had a chance to play this. I've seen the trailers and everything. I thought that the art direction looked phenomenal. More on that later.
Seriously?
But the more I played it over the last week or so beforehand, it just extremely boring. I think that's something a lot of people felt. You can see that with the player numbers we'll get into in a second. But this has been a common thread with this extraction shooter since it debuted. Well, since it began development a couple of years ago. We had in 2023 reports coming from Tarkov players that, yeah, they didn't care at all for this either. And now we got to have our own hands on it, and there's nothing unique or striking about this. And while comparisons to Concord, I think some people find it completely unfounded, but I don't know. I see some striking similarities, which I said in a previous video, it really should scare Bungie, and so far
I like how everything nowadays in gaming is measured in Concord units of failure, okay? Is Marathon a one Concord failure or a two Concord failure? Well, let's find out.
we haven't heard anything, but I do think that eventually they're going to delay Marathon. It just has to be based on all the scandals and everything that has happened. But yeah, and then there was also the fact that the original Marathon director was fired following a misconduct investigation. This was also around August 2024. Just so much chaos. And then obviously, as I alluded to just a second ago, they
Ah, look at that. The unibrow menace of society. This is the final boss in the game. That's right. You have to shave the unibrow. It's pretty challenging.
laid off a couple of hundred employees. This was right after they released a massive expansion for Destiny 2 that, received critical, acclaim from critics and users, but there just wasn't enough engagement with it. And I think that really just says a lot about modern day Bungie and the fact that their brands, their
True.
franchises is starting to dry up, and the interest with Destiny and even Marathon, it just isn't there, which obviously should scare PlayStation, who invested a couple of $1 billion into this company. Now, this is what I mean, the Marathon.
You know what always piqued my curiosity when it came to Destiny? The fact that the ghosts can resurrect you, but I mean, don't the enemies know about this? I mean, can't they just use kinetic fucking weapons instead of lasers? You know, blow them to bits? Let's see if the ghost can resurrect you then, asshole. How about we slice you into pieces and put you into jars, you know? Let's see if the ghost can get you then, huh? How about we shoot the ghost? Let's put a bag over it and see what it does. With a ziplock, maybe. God, Destiny is just such a stupid mess.
Company. Now, this is what I mean, the Marathon closed alpha. Yeah, this is striking. You gave out codes just to a certain amount of players, and even myself, I kind of gave up after about a day or two. But yeah, 7,000 players was the peak, and it immediately lost about 80% before it was over. That's not great. And especially with this being a paid experience, there's just so many red flags with Marathon right now. And, with better options in the market, especially with extraction shooters, and nothing unique, going for Marathon except for its art direction, Bungie's PlayStation, they have to be terrified right now. And this is what I mean. Right around the same time, we had Arc Raiders, another extraction shooter that had a lot more players engaged with it during its own alpha or beta or whatever it was. And yes, the footage that was coming out, the impressions,
and this game actually looks good, fun, interesting,
were a lot more positive than Marathon, which a lot of people were extremely just not feeling it. And I think the overall sentiment is the same thing that I've said. It's just that it was kind of boring. There was nothing that really made me want to stick with this and really spend money on this product. But yeah, this has been the big thing that has been talked about lately with Bungie, and it's a massive lawsuit that was started around October of 2024. We talked about this months ago in a news video of sorts. It seemed like a lawsuit that was really destined to go nowhere. Destiny 2's Red War campaign accused of lifting plot elements from online story in Louisiana lawsuit. And this individual accused the game company of copyright infringement related to Destiny 2.
Yeah, and Destiny could not defend itself because, I mean, they don't have access to the things that
2017 storyline, The Red War. Plaintiff Kelsey Martineau, who in 2013 and 2014 created work under the pen name Casper Cole, alleges that Bungie lifted elements from a story he published on WordPress.com, a random WordPress, and the similarities a lot of Destiny players have said it just doesn't make any sense. And this is something that should be easily defeatable in the courts, but it's not going that way so far. Specifically, this is what the lawsuits that defendants have deliberately and intentionally copied the character's storyline and other protectable expression from Martineau's work in the infringing game. This is what the claim said in October of 2024. The claim includes a laundry list of examples from Martineau's work in Destiny 2 that the plaintiff claims is proof of Bungie's wrongdoing. Including in each story are mentions of groups known as the Red Legion, with the suit pointing to character similarities between Destiny's Dominus Gull and Martineau's Overlord Ynera. The document goes as far as to say that both Red Legion factions mimic one another and that their goals directly overlap, blah, 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 blah. They say that there's a bunch of other narrative connections and similarities. That means that Bungie absolutely stole it. And, well, again, a lot in the Destiny community found this completely unfounded. It's a stupid lawsuit, probably going to go.
It's not really stupid if you think about it. Because let me explain one thing. People are kind of waving their hand away with this. And that is the fact that nothing in the Destiny campaign or whatever it is really unique. And every aspect of the thing that this guy claims that they stole is not unique. But that's literally everything in our lives. Every story has already been done. There's going to be similarities with, I mean, literally everything. There is no work of fiction where everything is truly unique. And that's normal. This is not what the lawsuit, though, is actually going on. The lawsuit is going on the fact that while all of these things are not unique by default, the fact that there is this thing, this thing that leads into this thing, and this thing, and this thing, and those things lead to this, and this, and this, and this, and then and that's hard to actually accidentally make exactly the same. That's the point. When something it leads into many different things, and those things lead into something else, and that is a carbon copy of the things that your stuff leads into, that is the issue. That is the copyright breach. That is the plagiarism. Because these things separately are not really unique. But in tangent to what they lead, how they play out, what they do, is unique. And this is also how these types of things work. Okay, you can have a chain of events that leads up to a chain of events, and that is a distinctive copyrightable thing. And that's what this lawsuit is about. Not them separately, but what they represent as a whole. Because as a whole, it's really hard to make the exact same story of someone else that follows in the exact same footsteps. It's really, really unlikely that happens.
Go nowhere. But and then there was also some updates. This individual also made claims that
Bungie's, though, probably going to try and defend themselves by saying, well, but look at our characters. All of them are gay. Yeah, Bungie, that's great. That's why no one bought this shit.
The Curse of Osiris expansion also stole further of his
Osiris
work.
was gay.
But this isn't where
Not
this
joking.
lawsuit is going in the direction that you may think, because Bungie, they did push back on the lawsuit. They said the claims don't hold up, and then they pretty much went to the courts and said, let's just dismiss this lawsuit. It's ridiculous. But the problem is they don't have any material that they can show in court. Like, they can't even actually go into their game and say, yeah, this is obviously fake, because all of that content has been vaulted up to this point. Bungie's lawyers have to use fan videos of old Destiny 2 content in court because, well, it doesn't exist in game anymore. This is one of the big reasons why I've never actually been able to get into Destiny 2, because you don't know where to fucking start. And a lot of Destiny 2 players have said that there's like a 10-hour video that you can look to, but that's just absolutely insane. And one of those long time issues that Bungie has never been able to really figure out, and now it's coming to bite their ass in this lawsuit. And we have seen further.
And the best part, by the way, the judge is saying, no, we're not going to use a third-party video as proof. Because, I mean, obviously you're not. Because you don't know if the third-party video is legit or not. It's effectively the same as me making a video saying, yes, Destiny stole everything from this guy without knowing anything, and just literally saying that without proof. And then at court, the judge being, yeah, this seems legit. Would this guy lie? No, probably not. I mean, case closed, stolen.
Further, that Bungie explained in court, saying they will explain why there's no feasible way to play Destiny 2's vaulted Red War campaign, even internally in new court filings. And yes, they put in their court filing 13 hours of video and fan Wikipedia pages as evidence to go against this lawsuit. It's just so dumb, and that's why I mean, this company is just so damn embarrassing with everything that they do. But yeah, Bungie has made clear in new court filings that the original Destiny 2 Red War campaign isn't just gone for players, it apparently no longer exists in a playable form within the studio itself. And then how did the court react? Well, this is the reaction. Court denies Bungie's attempt to dismiss Destiny 2 Red War lawsuit, refuses to consider YouTube videos and wiki pages as proof. And it's a
I mean, some people probably think that's strange, but again, it makes complete sense if you stop and think about it a little bit, because that's just effectively uh going making trust me, bro, as proof.
damning assessment, but in its motion to dismiss, Bungie included links to fan-recorded YouTube videos and summaries from Destinypedia, again, fan pages, to show the content Martineau was accusing of, well, that they copied apparently, since the original campaigns were removed from Destiny 2 years ago and cannot be accessed by by anyone anymore. But the judge was not on board with that. And it goes on to mention that Bungie archived the original code that comprised the Red War and Curse of Osiris campaigns, known as Legacy Builds. Game director Tyson Green's declaration reads, however, the Red War and Curse of Osiris Legacy Builds can no longer run because the outdated code is incompatible with Destiny 2's underlying operational framework, which has evolved considerably since the Red War and Osiris campaigns were retired.
The last time we talked about this, someone commented and said, yeah, this is true. The engines or whatever evolve over time, but they probably have older versions of the engine copied and stored if anything happens or if they need it for some reason. So that's kind of a questionable thing.
As a result, Bungie cannot feasibly provide the court with the original Destiny 2 game as it existed in 2017. And just the idea that they're potentially going to lose this lawsuit because they can't access their own content with their own lives, it's just honestly so embarrassing.
It's honestly deserved. Okay, Bungie deserves the worst.
And this is just modern day Bungie. Everything that they touch, it feels ruined right now. And this is where we take a turn with this video, because this is where we get into another scandal that exploded while I was starting to work on this video, and it's just even much more damning about the state of Bungie right now. And this company has been accused of theft a couple of times. We talked about this in previous news videos over the years. There was the big Nerf replica scandal that happened in September of 2024. This lawsuit was, well, it wasn't a lawsuit, but this scandal in which an individual accused Bungie of it was blatant. Like, this is the evidence. It's extremely blatant, and I'll put a better image on the screen so you can see for yourself. But one of the individuals, the contractors that they hired to make, they just blatantly stole this design from this artist on a different website. And Bungie obviously did compensate the user. They apologized, but it's just one of those things that it just keeps adding up. And then we had another...
See, again, it's like, why would I ever respect artists? This is what they do. This is normal.
Individual that came forward right around the same time that this...
Why would I ever be mad that the AI is going to replace these losers? Why? They deserve to be replaced, especially the people who work at Bungie. Look at this. Look at this.
Nerf replica scandal was...
And also, this is the actual person who made this, but you can see the flag
going on. They actually responded to the artist, the original artist of the Nerf replica, saying, I don't think
this is not water. This is 40% vodka, by the way.
Not talked about it publicly, but this isn't the first time this has happened. I had my work ripped off in 2012 when concepts from Destiny leaked, and yeah, that's pretty blatant there. And just another little scandal that popped up. Obviously, it looks like a Bungie concept artist took directly from this individual's work, didn't credit, obviously.
Well, listen. When you get hired as a diversity hire, that's pretty cool. But you never honestly expect that you are actually expected to do work and provide results. So what are you going to do as a diversity hire? Well, you're going to steal, obviously.
Then there was also the fact that Destiny 2 used fan art for a new Witch Queen trailer back in 2021. This was another thing that was just as blatant. And in each of these incidents, Bungie has come forward, they've apologized, they've said that they're going to compensate these individuals in some manner, and they have. It's just the fact that this keeps on fucking happening. There was also this one. This was another striking one that happened around 2024 last year, around the same time the Nerf replica thing was going on.
At this point, I can literally probably claim Bungie just stole from me and no one's going to question it.
Destiny 2 artist says Bungie never paid for copying fan art a year after promised compensation. We actually heard from a former Bungie lawyer that explained why this never happened, and it's because they fired the guy who was supposed to make the payment. It's just like I said, that's such a fucking embarrassing company, and now this gets us to the big marathons.
I mean, to be fair, that's gigasmart, okay? Tell someone, pay him, and then you fire him before the payment can be done, and it's like, well, we tried to pay you, but the guy who was supposed to do it didn't do it. It is what it is. That's like 400 IQ plays right there, honestly.
scandal that's going on right now. Marathon Alpha draws new plagiarism accusations against Bungie as artist says game is plastered with stolen art. And no. It's
Good.
not just plastered. The entire identity of Marathon was directly stolen from an artist. It's just so blatant. And this individual, this artist that's accusing, they don't seemingly want a massive lawsuit, but they probably are
Is this another guy, or is this what?
entitled to millions of dollars based on the fact that the entire identity, the entirety soul of this new Marathon reboot was lifted from their own work. And I just find this funny. Individuals were saying in response to some of the new Marathon images back in April, new Marathon looks like someone scrolled down Behance and Pinterest for 20 minutes and just saved everything they saw. That's exactly what fucking happened here. This is the artist, N2, or Anti-Real. The Marathon Alpha released recently, and its environments are covered with assets lifted
We
from
know
poster
this.
designs I made in 2017. And this is what I mean. Look at this. They didn't even try to make this a little bit different. You have Marathon right here. The Aleph, I think it says, Dark Space something logistics. They literally just copy and pasted it over to Marathon, the actual game. And the entire identity, this is just one little, there's so many more. Here's another one. Again, these little
We have seen these ones.
icons
They're
and
pretty
such, all
funny.
of them taken from this artist's own work. A Bungie employee clearly was looking directly at it. They clearly copied
Now you're probably looking at this and thinking, did he really steal that? Well, the answer is, if this was a singular instance, no. This is a well-known design. People have seen this before. People have done this before. But the fact that everything is stolen from this dude, and this is also something that this dude did, it makes it very likely that yes, this is stolen.
and pasted it on over to the game. And clearly Bungie's
And this is, by the way, now more things have been uncovered. It seems like, and the, once again, boys, we are proven right. And I said last time, when someone steals one thing, they're stealing something more. Okay, stealing doesn't stop with one thing. It never does.
legal team, or their entire team, nobody decided to maybe check any of this at all. And this gets so much worse. I need people to understand, like, the fact that Bungie didn't figure this out or didn't notice that they were directly stealing another individual, there's more damning pieces that point to them just being extremely lazy if they didn't know. And I almost feel like they had to have known. But yeah, here's another one. This is what I mean, like these little icons and everything. This came from the artist. It's just so blatant.
Yeah, this one I think is a little bit different because again, this is not unique. Like people have been doing art like this for literally ever.
And so
You know, where's the first place I saw stuff like this? It was years and years ago when I used to torrent games. All games in the description of what you need to do to actually launch it, because this was before when piracy actually required you press this, paste, copy, blah blah blah, run this, run that. Okay, and then you always had in the instructions some kind of art that looked something like this. Okay, you always had it.
obvious. And this individual
That YouTube, that was 20 years ago, and whatever the law is, I am past the date where I can be trialed for that. So now it's just a fun story I can tell.
said, again, they said Bungie is, of course, not obligated to hire me when making a game that draws overwhelmingly from the same design language. It's not that they draw it, they literally stole it. I have refined for the last decade, but clearly my work was good enough to pillage for ideas. Again, the entire soul of this Marathon reboot is directly coming from this artist. I just don't know how you continue without this game being tainted, and I really don't know how Bungie moves forward without this game constantly being brought up, the fact that they just stole the entire identity from this artist. But they go on to say, clearly my work was good enough to pillage for ideas and plaster all over their game without payer attribution. I don't have the resources nor the energy to spare to pursue this legally, but I have lost count of the number of times a major company has deemed it easier to pay a designer to imitate or steal my work than to write me an email. And I've seen people joke, they're just like, why not just fucking use AI at this point instead of like literally stealing all of this? In 10 years, I've never made a consistent income from this work, and I am tired of designers from huge companies mood boarding and parasiting my designs while I struggle to make a living. And say what you will, they have to pay.
Deserved. Every artist should struggle to make a living. I hate you.
This individual millions. I don't care what you say. Don't care the argument.
Artists are the most arrogant, self-centered pieces of shit, okay? Listen, Asmongold has less of an ego than the average artist. Pirate Software has less of that, okay? Pokimane seems like an angel compared to the average goddamn artist.
This person's going to have to get a massive payout. Anything under that, I think that would be ridiculous. And I understand this individual doesn't want to go forward with the lawsuit because of the headache. They don't want to go after Sony and all that. But at the same time, I mean, I just don't know how you compensate this individual enough with the fact that the entirety of Marathon comes from this artist's original work. And then this is where it gets even more fucking damning. I see that Joseph Cross also follows you. Is there any insight you can give about the connection there? He's followed me for a few years. Yes, Bungie employees and art director. The franchise art director followed him for a few years. And a few others from Bungie never had any communication. And look, obviously a lot of individuals are blaming this on an outside contractor, but this is all stuff that Bungie they should have noticed.
Yeah, again, Bungie should have done some due diligence. Well, it doesn't matter. That was Legacy Kill HD. 10 out of 10. Bungie is going down, and they deserve it. Dead of Oak shithole. I want them to go down. Bungie is one of the worst. Anyway, bye.